7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yo, what's Gucci, fam? This Que Bola, the podcast for creative entrepreneurs who want to understand the individuals winning in the creative industry and want to learn how to attain success in their own pursuits. My name is Daron Figueroa, and my mission is to help you, the creative entrepreneur, find the roadmap to grow and succeed in your own endeavors. We share stories, insights, and tips from established and emerging creative entrepreneurs so you can attain success in your own pursuits. We chopped it up with Dopetavio in this episode. Dopetavio is a fresh-ass fashion designer / nightlife curator / superhero / real reality TV influencer / etc. and more to come. It was crazy. Thank you so much, Dopetavio, for giving me some of your time. Without any further ado, let's get into this episode, all right? Listo. Dopetavio, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast, man, and sharing your time with me and talking to me about, like, your journey, dog. Like, really, thank you so much for this. Like, we were just talking about a second ago. It's been a minute in the making, and I've been, so I came in contact with you through a friend of ours, shout out Noel Perez, Noel, through the Nightlife.
Yes.
Right? But then when I learned about, like, past your nightlife scene, then that's when I found out about all the other, like, skill sets that you have and everything that you really, like, hone in on. So talk to me about that journey, right? Like, how did you start off? First of all, my real question is, how'd you get the name Dopetavio?
It was, well, Tavio or Tavio is short for Octavio.
Okay.
And then I just added Dope. It was literally an Instagram name. It was just like, let me make an Instagram name before it was even a brand. And then it just became one. So that's it. And then, like, when people see my stuff, if they don't know the name of it, of the brand or whatever, it's the first thing that comes out of their mouth. Oh, shit, that's dope as fuck, or that's dope. So it's kind of funny when somebody has to say, well, that's actually the designer's name. But just to go back to, I like the fact that you got to meet me. You met me in Nightlife, even though I'm still dope. I got introduced up to Dopetavio, but you got to see some of my personality at night versus, and then you found out, oh, he's a fashion designer. Oh, he does this. So I kind of like that. It was the opposite. Because normally it's like, oh, he's a fashion designer. Let's see what he's like.
Yeah.
So you got it the opposite. And my personality.
Yeah. We've hung out plenty of times.
Yes. From day one, I had you laughing. So,
it's been a fun time, like, hanging out with you and learning about your world and, like, getting into your world, right? So, like, how did the whole, like, fashion designer part come about? How did you start that?
In my life, well, I'm the only child.
Okay.
Me and my mom are best friends.
Okay.
She's the only one that raised me, so I would go shopping with her. She always wanted to shop in the cool shops in the city. I was her stylist before I even knew that was even a job. You know, she's like, you're coming shopping with me, and then she would just try stuff on. I would pick stuff out, and that's where my, like, love of fashion kind of started. And she dated a few DJs, so we were always in, like, the know.
Okay.
Like, we knew the artsy cool shit.
Yeah.
We knew, music and, some of the, like, let's start off with, like, freestyle celebrities at the time that were from Jersey and from New York. So it was, like, common for you to either know them or be able to see them.
Yeah.
And then going to all these cool shops, always being introduced to, like, different stuff, So that kind of, played a big part into, me loving fashion. And then, of course, MTV and some of the people that we look up to, like, I guess at the time, celebrities. Let's say somebody like Madonna, which I'm a big fan of,
She was like a major inspiration?
Right, but she was wearing, like, French designers, like Jean-Paul Gaultier. And so you got to know that there was something else out there, or, it just wasn't, like, costumes because she was on stage. It was actually clothes that she picked from a dope-ass collection. So that pretty much was it. But then mommy also took me to Patricia Fields, which I'm a part of in New York, still to this day. She took me there when I was, I guess the first time I walked in there, I was like 9.
Damn.
And right away, I just remember always like sucking things in, like soaking it in. And like,
Yeah.
I remember everything. I'll forget like the most important stuff, but I'll be like, oh my God, yes, I remember that day in the 80s and she wore this color with this shoe. You know, like I remember things that I guess were important to me. So, so that was my first bit of it. And of course, MTV and watching, trying to get like fashion TV and watch little things because it's now we have IG and everything is accessible.
Yeah.
Everybody knows every designer. Before you mention a designer's name, they're like, who's that? They only know like Guess and,
Yeah.
Boss
Calvin
Jeans.
Klein.
Yeah, whatever was like very popular. So that's about it. I mean, it
Yeah.
kind of started off like that. And then
You were naturally gravitated to it, though.
And then around like 14, my mom, I was a good kid. I was an honest kid. My grades were okay, but she was like, as long as your grades were fine, I'll let you be able to go out. Because I met a group of club kids, and they took me to Limelight. I was 13 the first time I walked in there, but I remember when I was there for an hour, because it was already past the time that I had told mommy. I said, we'll be back home around this time.
Your curfew.
Yes. And so I was like, we walked in, and I was like, I could only be here for an hour, and I soaked it up also.
Yeah.
The nightlife and clubs and disco ball and lights and club kids and that culture. And so by the next year, like by 14, I was able to ask her like, hey, I want to go out. It's not about like drinking or doing drugs or nothing. It's just being able to get dressed up.
Yeah.
And walking up to a velvet rope and they open it just because you're fierce.
Yeah.
And going into and just, having fun or meeting people like me.
Yeah.
Because in my hometown, I got a lot of respect because I started designing, which I'll lead into that at an early age. So right away I wasn't like,
So from an early age, you were naturally drawn to it.
Yeah,
it
that's
was something
it. It
that
kind of like the story's long and it can
Yeah.
continue, but yeah, it was like my childhood, a little bit of things that we saw on television.
Yeah.
My mom and shopping and DJs and music and the kind of the world that I was in that kind of just led me to that.
I mean, that's great that you, from such a young age, you knew more or less what you wanted to do, right? And where you wanted to spend your time on.
And I was able, like, again, my mom plays a big part in what I do because she was like, you be who you want to be. And of course, I tested things. I dyed my hair. I pierced my tongue. Like, and those things are not even weird anymore. But back in the
then,
early
it was
90s,
like,
it was like I was the only kid that had their tongue ring. Nobody even had earrings.
I feel like that's such a calling card of yours, of like audaciously like fashion, right? It's like this type of fashion is dope, but it's like it's very in your face, right? Where other type of fashion could be more, in a different genre.
Right.
Is that something that naturally sprung about from a young age?
I guess, yeah, just from always being different. And even if I got the same shoes that you got, the same Jordans or the same sneakers,
You didn't want to wear the same ones.
I switched up the laces or I spray painted the front or, there was always like an edge to like everything that I did, whether it's like home decor or the stuff that I drew. I mean, trust me, I wanted to be an interior designer before I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Okay.
And I was able, throughout the years, been able to work in the two and now know how to merge the two. So it's kind of like, it's really just, my career, I'm blessed because of the childhood and the upbringing that I had. It wasn't like one of those opposites that I was just like hiding in a room and then couldn't wait to come out. No, I was living life, and you see those references in my collections.
That's bro. That's a massive blessing, dude.
It
Honestly,
is. It is.
It
I mean,
really
you know
is.
what? Now that I'm talking about it, I see how I feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not something that I'm constantly talking about, you know?
Yeah, no.
Everybody just talks about, okay, you're a designer, but nobody
Yeah.
talks about like how did this all start?
Yeah,
you
what
know?
was in the sazon? What made the Dopetavio sazon?
Yeah,
Right?
it was my mom, and my mom used to go out clubbing, and
Yeah.
I used to help her get ready, and
Yeah.
and the friends, and she brought queer people around me at a young age, and they knew what was going on in fashion, so it was all that, and I love the fact that I was raised in the '80s and experimental '90s, and so you see all those influences in what I do today. But I do like to make one of a kinds, and I think I've made a name for myself that you don't even have to look at the brand. There's some things that you can just look at, and I'm sure you could too, that you're like, dope made that.
Yeah,
And
100%.
once you look at the tag, you're right. So, I have my aesthetic out there, and sharing my aesthetic is the fun part,
Was Gucci with your inspirations though? Like, who was your Mount Rushmore? Who was the people that made you say, all right, I'm gonna dedicate my life to this? Because there's a difference between people like having the opportunity to like express themselves at a young early age and like dabble in different worlds, and then there's the whole dedication and follow through and consistency of I'm gonna make this my career. Who was somebody that you like modeled yourself after, or you followed their journey?
I can't say I followed nobody's journey because you barely heard about people's story back in the day.
Oh, it was hard.
Right? It was unless I did collect magazines and I had subscriptions to and once they would get there, I would read articles. But it's just everybody has a different story, and a different time that they were raised or brought up, or a different country or state or whatever. So everybody's story is like a little bit different. I just knew what I liked, and I just went for it. And I started putting on fashion shows in high school. Like for the talent show, I was like, I want to do a fashion show. And they're like, oh, okay, so we'll get some models, and everyone could bring their club clothes. And I'm like, no, I want to make the clothes.
Yeah,
Like it was
wanna design it.
before it used to be like, yeah, bring your cool shit and walk. And I'm like, no, I want to make the clothes. So I did like 3 segments, and I did that. I want to say my sophomore, junior, and senior year. And by the time I was a senior, like my senior prom, I kind of did like 80% of the prom dresses, So I was already making money and
Straight out of high school.
Well, no, in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was able to wear even cooler and more expensive stuff in high school because I was already making the money for it.
Damn, that's fresh.
Yeah.
Damn,
Yeah,
that's
so
dope.
it's pretty
That's
cool.
that's also something that a lot of people don't have. Like I'm saying, that's another like caveat. The fact that you're also an entrepreneur, because there's a difference between like I
Right.
want to make my stuff and I'm gonna risk my time and money in trying to make this work. Right.
Right.
That's something that I could hear that probably was instilled in you by your mother, right?
Right.
Or how did that come about that you said I'm gonna start my own line?
Well, you kind of like anything else. You just don't jump into it and spend a whole bunch of money.
Yeah.
You go buy a few yards of fabric. You make a few cool things. You get it onto the right people, or the right people start seeing it. It doesn't even have to be the right people. It's just like whoever.
Yeah.
And you start getting feedback off of that. And once you get the right feedback, which was always since the beginning, like, oh shit, this is dope as fuck. Oh my God, that's fresh. And there's so many different versions of things that I've done. It wasn't like I didn't start off with a collection. I started off with pieces, and now it's grown into collection. Actually, I still design a whole bunch of pieces.
Yeah.
And at the end, try to put a collection together. But collections are only seen when I do fashion shows and stuff like that, because now I have a store, so I can make shit today and have it already on the sales floor tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fresh, man. That's fresh. So talk to me about the store. How did it come about?
Well, a good friend of mine, Logan, he kind of always felt like he wanted to do like he always said it, and he would give me hints that he always wanted to be able to create some type of business with me, and he loved, the swag and everything, like everything that I bring. He's from up north as well, so he knows like the Patricia Field world and, the cool stores that used to be in New York that maybe are not even around anymore. And he just like, it was like honestly perfect timing. I knew that he was negotiating on some place nearby my house. I knew the building. I had never came in here before. And we spoke and he was like, what are you up to? And I was like, I'm literally about to shut down my studio in downtown and move out. And he's like, well, whatever you do, don't unpack. And so I moved my studio in with all the fabrics and all the machines into my house,
Yeah.
my apartment.
Yeah.
And then he called me like a week after and he said, hey, come in. And when we walked into this space, the first thing I saw was the black and white floors. And everyone knows my brand is mainly black and white. And I was like, wow, look at this place, because the windows were like black, pitch black. And he just said, this is for you. I walked in here. I'm creating, a nightclub on that side. But this space, I wanted to be like some type of retail. And I thought of you instantly. And so he's like, think about what you want to do. And let's make it happen.
Yeah.
So right away, I was just like, if I just do a store that's just full of my clothes, it's just going to be a black and white store. It's just going to be my brand that I'm going to be pushing. And I've had that before. I've had that in downtown. I've been in other stores in Miami. And I can't really say I do have clients here and constantly making new clients. But my main customers in New York or LA. That's where I make most of my money. It's not Miami. I don't make bikinis or nothing like that. It's very like always heavy and thick. So I said, let me do exactly like what Pat does. She represents all these cool artists, fashion designers, a little bit of everything, and kind of just create a shop where at the end everybody wins. And that's what I love seeing. Like it's not just about me. It's about once you get to a certain point, and I'm nowhere near the point that I want to be, but I'm at a point in my life or in my career that I've inspired people.
Yeah.
Or people look up to me, whether they're, inspiring designers, young kids or whatever. But the people that are around me as other creatives and other designers that I know, we're all kind of like struggling. It's kind of like a weird world. Some of the, people think you're on Project Runway, you're going to blow up and make all this money. And that's not the reality. Like out of 16 designers that were on my show, we're still every day pushing it.
Yeah.
We don't have companies. It's just one-man shows and a few assistants or a few people that sew for you. So it is hard getting into breaking out. But I feel like I've inspired enough people and known enough people that I can call them up and say, hey, listen, I got this idea. I got this opportunity. I want to open up a shop. I want you to be part of it. Send me whatever you have. Send me 3 pieces, 10 pieces, 20 pieces. I'm going to make it work here. So I've been open for a few months. I can't say I've done the big grand opening because it feels like I opened like right before Art Basel. Yeah. And it was like, we've been doing stuff. I've done a fashion show since. I did like a fashion exhibit. So it's been nonstop. And that's why like I couldn't even commit to like doing something with you because I'm like, I finally have things to talk about, but I don't have time to do it yet.
So it'd be like that.
It'd be like that. It's busy. It's fun. And my people think that I'm sitting at a sewing machine every day. That's not it. There's a photo shoot. I'm decorating a window. I'm rearranging the store. I'm spray painting objects. And, I really get into it. It's been really fun creating it. And now it's time to start promoting it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And everyone's excited. Everyone that walks into the door loves it. And there's a little bit of everything. Like there's everything in here for everyone, Everyone that's walked in here has bought something, whether, just to support or they actually find like a cool t-shirt or, something. Because based off of the mannequins and the windows, of course, we put the craziest shit on there.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh my God, everything's expensive. And, it's all crazy stuff. But we have streetwear brands. We have upcyclers. We have jewelry with the chains, and
Yeah.
we have queer artists and regular artists. We have a home decor section.
Yeah.
So there's like you have
little
to
bit
pick
for
something
everybody.
up. Yeah, for sure.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. I'm glad to see that you have this space and that you're getting other creatives involved in it,
Right.
and you're like giving other people like shine. You're giving them a cosign, and because it's your
Right.
store, right? So for them to be in here is definitely certifiably dope. You know what I'm saying?
No, of
So
course.
you're giving them a cosign, and you're giving them a chance to like also show their wares. So like throughout the experience, right? You mentioned Project Runway, the whole design experience. What's been like? Let's say you were to go back to talk to young Dopetavio, still in ninth grade, right? Ninth grade Dopetavio. What's that one key that you would give him in the road that you've gone through?
No, I'm so the type that says and really does and breathes and lives my life and has enjoyed my life. Of course, I've made some mistakes, but I don't have no regrets on nothing.
Yeah.
I would do it all over again, except getting my heart broken here and there. But even like we want everything to be perfect,
Yeah.
and we only want good vibes.
Yeah.
But you also have to welcome some bad stuff, because how are we gonna learn anything?
Yeah.
You learn through your mistakes and stuff like that. But
Did you know that at a younger age though, or is that something that a lesson that was learned?
I was grown, and that's why my mom let me go out, and that's why I hung out with like older people.
Yeah.
And she would always ask, like, what do you have in common with, like, she's 22 and you're only 17. And I'm
Yeah.
like, Ma, I'm funny. I have charisma. You know me. What's not to, like, fall in
Riz.
love with me? So she understood that. That's a really good question. I've never been, like, stuck, but I don't know what I would tell myself, but I don't know. I mean, everybody's path is different. We
Yeah.
all know that.
But it's your own path. What would you be like, yo, this is something that would
I don't
help
know. I
you?
think I just like I can hear my mom saying to save money. That's all I would have done. Save more money. She
Hey,
always
that's a
like
good-ass-
she was like save money all the time. And right now I haven't had a savings account since pandemic. So I don't even know what that's like. But I'm making money, I'm investing money, and I really want this to work.
I feel you. I
And
feel
I
you.
think it is. I think it's gonna do well. It's just hard getting people into the door, because
Yeah.
people are used to shopping online and blah 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 blah. We're working on our online presence, but it's called Dope Lab, and you see why.
Yeah, yeah. Place is fire, bro. You guys definitely got to swing through. It's here at the 777. What street is this? This is
79th Street.
79th and what avenue are we on right now?
No, just 79th.
79th.
777 79th Street.
Yeah,
That's the line.
777 79 Supernatural
Yeah.
House. Dopetavio Lab, Dope Lab. This place is fire. Every time, very first time I walked in here, I was like, yo, this is an experience. Just walking in here is an experience.
It's different.
Yeah,
I have
it's
fun
different.
putting it together, and I will say that some friends have helped me out. I'm like, hey, you want to create something? Make a rack, or let's do something.
Shoot a music video in here.
We can. We
This
can.
place is fire.
Thank you.
So what's been like through your journey? What's been something that a major challenge that you overcame, right? Like what's been one of those biggest challenges, or something that held you back, or hindered you from going in a certain direction? What would be a major challenge that you would be like, yo?
I've hit quite a few, but I
Okay.
think the biggest monster was pandemic.
Okay.
It felt like right before pandemic, I had just moved. I had just moved back to Miami because I was living in New York for a while, and my career in New York. I mean, if I lived in New York, my career would be 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that I live here, and I choose to live here. I like,
The city.
I like both places. I love both places. They're both different. But when I moved here right before pandemic, it felt like I was such like on a rise, and then the pandemic hit, and it's just like nobody was shopping.
Yeah.
There was no red carpets. There was like nowhere to show off, and I literally was making masks like for living, like to survive, and that wasn't fun. But in the course of pandemic, I also was casting for Project Runway. So although I felt like, man, it just like all designers like kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Then I'm all of a sudden after pandemic, like I'm on TV and I'm on this show. So there was like another rise. So I think that my whole path has been the ups and downs and still figuring things out. I mean, there's no handbook on how to be, not a fashion designer. I'm already a fashion designer,
Yeah.
but how to have a brand or a successful brand. I
Yeah.
mean, but I surround myself with like cool, young, talented people and some Gen Zs because they know everything that's going on. There's always something new. There's always a new way to create the reel, and you're trying to keep up. And it's become a little harder. I have 3 IGs now because of the store, my personal, my brand. So promoting that. I work nightlife, so I also have to promote that.
Yeah.
I still can't say. I'm still looking for the balance of this. I'm only open 3 days a week, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I do by appointment only. But this year I told myself I need to rest because last year I didn't sleep. So I'm giving myself 2 days off. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday, Monday is my day off. Tuesday, Wednesday is to do something, whether it's sourcing or fabric shopping or a photo shoot or sewing or creating. It feels like I'm sewing less, but I have a filled store. So I can't complain, but I want to sew more. So now my challenge now is trying to balance and try to sew more because for now I am the one who runs the store. I am the salesperson. I am the one that people are meeting, and I love that part.
Yeah.
Because I get to be hands on with who's coming in here and what they're looking for, and so it's kind of fun. But I'm still trying to balance it out and get some rest.
That's wild. Yeah, you gotta have that work-life balance because this whole entire the brand is your business, right? Is your
Right.
life. How did the whole nightlife curation come about though? Like that's a whole nother branch of your
Yeah.
brand.
That is.
And, like curating like certain parties and primarily the way I met you was through Jolene.
Right.
So like and those type of parties. How did that come about? Was it something
Well,
that they
first of
yeah.
all, the first thing I needed a part-time job.
Okay.
And what else can I do?
Yeah.
Like, what else can I do?
Yeah.
Unless it's like working from home at something. But I like to be physically or doing something. And then there's the popularity part that, I was on, I'm pretty popular and I'm known for giving looks. And then I also hang out with people that give looks. So I bring the right people in. I have a lot of connections, so it's a promoter job.
Yeah. So it was natural. It came natural to you.
It kind of came natural, and luckily, since I know people in the industry, it was just like, hey, I'm looking for like a little part-time job. What do you have?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, do I have to be a bartender? Because you have to make some extra side money.
Yeah.
And also like have some fun or like something else, like when I'm home, I'm not watching like TV. I'll take a coloring book and color, like old school, like a kid with crayons.
Yeah.
I have to do something else to like for my mind not to think about fashion and clothes and racks and that stitch and the thread and the shoe and the photo shoot and the model. Like it's nonstop, Again, because it's only me, and of course I have people that help me out or some assistants, but they only help me out when it's like major stuff. Like if I have a fashion show, I'll call some people up. I'll get some interns as well. But for the most part, it's just like a one-man. It is a one-man show. It's not like it is
Yeah.
a one-man show.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a lot of work, and I love it. I'm not here complaining. That's why I couldn't answer that question because I'm just living it. Like I'm just living my life, and I know that we make things happen, but I know that it's also going on the path that it's supposed to go on, I guess. Right?
I feel you, bro. That's wild. That's like it's very like zen that point of view. Like I'm walking the journey, right?
Right.
And I'm manifesting what I want and everything that has come about has been through that manifestation. So
Yeah.
like within that walk, within that journey, what's been like a major like accomplishment? What's been something that you were like, damn, I can't believe I did that.
Honestly, the whole package.
The whole pack.
But there's always like surprises, you know, and some of the main things are, well, some collaborations. Of course, people love when you dress a celebrity up, as well as I do, you know. I don't know the whole thing. You know, everybody always wants me to say Project Runway. I don't even talk. Like, I love being part of it. It was an experience. I don't think it defines me. But I hear people, like, introduce me to people like, oh, this is Dopetavio. He was on Project Runway. And I was like, why? You know? But that was a huge accomplishment, of course. I think, you know why? Because that was like a fun challenge. Like, I went on this show. I'm in my 40s. I didn't know what to expect. We're coming out of pandemic, so thank God I was around people, you know? We were just, like, kind of stuck in our house.
Yeah.
So it felt like fashion camp. I felt like I was just I was young as the rest of the kids that were on there.
Yeah.
There was some other grown-ups, but I was the oldest. And you're living in this bubble. And I guess one of my favorite things, and I tell this to people when they start talking about Project Runway, the best part about being on Project Runway for me was that I was the most focused I've ever been in my life because of the fact that you're living in a bubble. You don't have internet, you don't have TV, you don't have your phones, you're not connected to nothing.
They cut out the noise.
They cut out the noise. And then I can't say I'm focused on the competition because everybody's just mad chill. Everybody's just making shit, you know? So it just seems natural. It doesn't seem like I want to win it. I just want to do my best. And I want to show what I do in every challenge. So I was the most focused in my life. I wish I can go back to that focusedness, you know? I would really have to shut down or like hide myself in some warehouse and just fucking sew for like months or, you know, or for a long time because there's so much chaos and there's so much distractions on the day. We're on our phone for like, you know, we waste so much time on our phone. So yeah, it's you know, that was fun. That was the funnest part about being in that show. And back to answering your question, it wasn't a challenge that you asked me, but that was fun because it was a challenge.
Like a major accomplishment.
Right,
on
that. I mean, it could have been anything. I mean, to do any show, I think it would have just been fun, to be honest. I mean, yeah, I picked the one that I could be a fashion designer in. But, like, I'd do Big Brother or something. I'd do Survivor at this point. Well, now I feel like I could
Survivor?
I would do it. I feel like, you know, once you did it once, you could kind of do anything. And because of the push of the challenge, you know? Like, I would challenge myself to do something like that. What I do now every day as a designer and a store owner and, you know, a curator and a creative director, that's my everyday. So... it's you kind of just go with the flow. It's not the hardest thing. I think putting yourself in positions that is like challenging. Yeah. But this interview is just about what I do. So life is already challenging. Like boys are challenging, dating, being single.
How's the dating
all crazy.
Life? How's the dating life with the notoriety?
Well, I've been single for 3 years. I was in a relationship for 9 years.
Yeah.
So we broke up right after Project Runway aired. So it was just like right in the middle of like this fama, and then me being single after 9 years and like learning how to pay bills again by myself and doing everything. But you do learn that there's guys or people, not just, you know, people that are interested in you in that sense, that they're just after that they just want to be part of your world.
Yeah.
They want to, you know, or they have this, like, assumption that I'm maybe rich or, you know, like, you know, they people use people to get to places and whatever.
Agenda. Everybody has an agenda.
Right. I have dated a few guys since, and it's been fun. You know what the funny part to me is that my ex loved my red mustache. You know, like it was just like, and it happened while I was with him. So he was just so used to it. So coming out into the world and being single, and like not everyone's, well, nobody thinks that they're gonna end up with somebody with a fucking Ronald McDonald mustache. You know, like that red. So that has been not challenging because a lot of guys like it. I will say that, but I guess for the ones that don't know that I'm a fashion designer and all that stuff, you know, they're probably like, "What's going on? Why?" You know, like he got a lot of swag, but it's just me. Yeah, like it's just me.
That's
and
funny. You said Ronald. I had never thought of your mustache as a Ronald
Well,
McDonald.
you're
ever.
used to it, but can you imagine if I just
I was, even when I wasn't used to it, that's not the first thought that came to my mind.
Well, my look is strong. My
Yeah, that
personality's
100%.
strong. Now I work nightlife, so not everybody's into like nobody wants somebody that works in nightlife.
I mean, nightlife is huge in South Florida.
Huh? I know, but not everybody's into that.
I hear what
because
you're
you know
saying.
what? Right away, people think I'm just partying, and I don't. I take it seriously.
Yeah.
It's a job. I dress up and I get to hang out with my friends for free and drink and get into clubs and. My main job is Jolene, and I also work here at 7 at Supernatural, but I get hired for other type of parties as well. And that's how that came about too. Like just besides needing, like I'm like, I need a part-time job. It was that I had been hired for a few things, and I'm like, oh my God, this is easy money.
Yeah.
You know?
And it comes natural to you.
So now it's hard to get me to go out anywhere unless you're paying me. No. I'll go out.
That's
go
how
out,
it
but-
be, though. It be like that.
But there's this, I've heard it from people that have been in Miami forever.
Yeah.
That there's something about my clique or my group or that when we walk in the room, it's not just about me. You know, that everybody wants to know or be part of that.
Yeah.
And, I've made some good friends here. I
Yeah.
don't be like, hey, you have to dress up or you have to wear this. I just attract that and vice versa. But, when me and my crew walk in, it's
100%,
like, oh, shit.
bro. I was about to say it. Like, in my experience walking in with you, I always feel like, bro, I'm super underdressed to be walking into a spot with Dopetavio.
I like the fact that you're doing you. Because remember, at the end of the day, I'm doing me.
Yeah.
You know, you always see me dressed.
Yeah.
I just, like fly shit. You see me in the daytime with sneakers and just like regular. But like, and that's another thing. I'm out here being a fashion designer. Y'all lucky I got swag. I know how to dress, and I've always loved fashion and like different shit. Because imagine if I, kind of looked a little boring.
Yeah.
But by me opening up that, because I opened up my personal IG after Project Runway, because I saw all the designers had too. And I would just put stuff on Dopetavio. I didn't care about like taking pictures of me. Yeah, I always had the red mustache.
Yeah.
I always had the swag, but it wasn't about me. It was about the clothes. So once I opened up mine, I noticed how, besides like being in magazines or getting my picture taken versus like me taking a selfie and taking more selfies, that people were like interested in me. And of course they got to see a little bit of my personality in Project Runway, which is, what they saw? They didn't even see Dopetavio because we only mentioned Dopetavio once on the show. They only know Octavio Aguilar, and they got to see that I'm talented and that I'm a nice guy, And I was like the Papa Smurf of the season because everybody kind of like, I was cuddling with everybody, the guys and the girls, and even the people that were married. They were just like, I just want to give you a hug, like we're stressed, we're away from people, and there's just something about you that I just want to be with. But anyway, I started dressing up, and it's not like I was wearing the stuff that I was sewing, unless I was going to an event. I was just wearing my clothes, but I started noticing that once I started altering my shit, that's what people wanted. So even my collection grew out of me making a little bit more ready-to-wear pieces versus just always doing avant-garde crazy shit. Because I wasn't wearing avant-garde every day. I was selling it and promoting it and pushing it, but people want to dress like me or like my friends. So that also helped in, and that also helped in with me getting this, being a promoter and being hired to do parties.
Yeah.
Because they know I'm going to come as me and my people are going to come as them, and we look good together. And
How do you for the
and
people?
Miami's never had that, because I said that I was like, some old school Miami heads have told me, like, we never seen like this group or just
Yeah.
come through, maybe on during our basil and then they fly back home. But you live here and you've created something like a little cultural
Yeah,
movement.
little culture bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. How does like the whole aspect of creating that bubble, maintaining that vibe, how does that play with like your everyday personality? Do you feel that you have to be in that vibe whenever you're out in public? Do you feel like it's a separation thing? How does that?
No, I'm just me. I don't put on this mustache every day. I walk around with it.
Yeah.
So I have a sense of humor, and you know this.
Yeah.
I walk around with this red mustache all up and down 79th Street. Like people know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm t-shirts, shorts, sneakers.
Yeah.
But there's still like there's jewelry or there's a chain or there's still things of me, and like I'm different from the get. But yeah, I'm in my regular shit. Like when I live only a few blocks away from this shop. So I don't drive. So I literally had like a coche, like Publix coche back and forth with mannequins and fabric, and from my house bringing stuff 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And my mom's like, you gotta be careful out there. Sometimes, it could be scary. And I'm like, Mom, these people know who I am. Like, not know me like that I'm somebody. They see this face every day. They see me going to the bodega. They see me going to the gas station. They get to Goodwill.
Yeah.
So people know me. Like I say hi to everyone.
That's what's up, bro.
Yeah. So I get to be myself all the time.
Yeah.
And I've been me the whole time. The red mustache is because I don't have no hair to dye. If not, I would have had a red or purple mohawk right now. But this is the only pelito that I got. Yeah.
No, pero te queda bien, bro.
Thank you.
100%. I've always liked your swag. I've always liked your style since the minute that I met you. You've always been super cool with me. You know what I'm saying? Super opening, welcoming. And I appreciate that, because like when you normally see somebody, right, who's doing something, you might assume that they're like standoffish, or
Right.
that like that they have like a certain type of complex or something like that. But you're the complete opposite. You've always been like super open and welcoming. Does that, like, the influencer side of you, is that something that you had to work at, or do you feel that it was a natural progression of your design and your fashion journey?
I think it's like like almost like yes and no. I did have to work on it because, again, it was little by little that I was showing more of me, meaning my face, but
Yeah,
not so much
personality,
so much personality. Like people right away assume they think that they know you. I mean, I don't post that I'm eating lobster or I'm here. Like I'm not here to show off. I'm here to show you what I do. I'm here to show you a little bit of me. So the influencer part is something like I kind of had to learn because, at the end of the day, we kind of think influencers are cheesy. Like, I don't want to do a commercial. I don't want to do that. But I have done stuff that has benefited me that can benefit whoever I'm working with or collaborating with. So it's still all new, like I'm still me and I'm always going to be me no matter what. Si me gano la loteria or not, it's just, you're going to always get 100% me. And you know this, you've introduced me to people, and I am completely myself with them. I'm never, nothing has to get to my head. I'm living my life. There's the way it's supposed to be. And if I was to die tomorrow, I can die with a smile on my face.
Damn, that's what's
I
up.
did my thing, and I inspired people, and I touched people in a way, and I made people laugh. And, there was always some joy around me. And so I can't really think that people, would be like sad that I'm gone, but not like that I didn't go for it or do it, because I'm doing it.
I feel you, bro. That's dope.
Yeah.
Who's your Who's your collab loteria? Who's the person or a brand or somebody that you're like, damn, I really want to collab with XYZ. This is something, if you do it, that you know, like, damn, I really did that. Like, I made that. I made it.
A collab with a brand, Adidas. Adidas.
Damn, that's what's
I
up.
don't think you were gonna think that, but yeah, right away.
No, I've seen your Adidas shit.
Yeah,
It's fire.
I want an Adidas collab. I'm putting that out there in the world.
There we go, bro. Adidas, you already know what's up, man. Holla at my boy Dopetavio over here killing it on 777 on 79.
Thank
No,
you.
100%. That's I've seen all the
Adidas
flips
fits.
that you've been doing
Yeah.
with Adidas, and I'm like, damn, I would rock that.
I want to like, and you only see that. I want to do some sneakers. Like, I
Yeah.
want to do, but I think that's the biggest collab. And actually, that's, I think, every designer's dream right now.
Adidas?
I think so.
Or like a
because,
major-
Balenciaga, all these
Yeah.
big brands, or Gucci did it, like everyone's doing a collab with Adidas. And it's just so like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You weren't expecting that one.
No, I
Which
was
you
not.
should have known.
Yeah, I should have.
Pero, and me, I was like, I started thinking for a second. I was like, no, Adidas.
Yeah.
It would be Adidas. I mean, there's other, designers and things that I think of that are more in line with my brand, but I would love to take those stripes and do my thing with it.
No, that's crazy, bro. Yeah. I could see you killing it, you crushing it with Adidas.
Yeah.
So do you try to represent a certain type of like culture? Do you through your fashion? Like, are you focused on underground culture? Obviously, it's not like poppy shit, right? It's not a like Target. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So is there a certain type of culture that you adhere to, that you're like, these are my people, this is my tent?
I don't, because there's, like I said, there's something for everyone, not just in the store, but in my brand. My brand is inspired by punk rock and hip hop because of the 80s and the 90s and how all that grew up and how that some of it faded. So I'll have a baggy ass motorcycle jacket, or like there's elements of both worlds, because I grew up with rock, heavy metal. Like, I used to listen to that back in the day. Because of MTV, you heard every genre.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, and then there was the rap, hip hop, R&B. From up north, so I got it all.
Who's your favorite artist musically?
Bjork.
Damn, Bjork.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's funny. I've never really heard too much Bjork. I was
There's
never
albums and albums,
Yeah.
but there's no, it's only a certain genre.
Yeah,
You have to be into it. So from the beginning, I think her creativity has been... and of
somebody who
course,
inspired you, like.
and I already said I love Madonna.
Yeah.
Missy.
Yeah.
A lot of the 90s. And
Lil' Kim.
Of course, Little Kim. When I graduated high school in 97, that's when Kim and everybody was like at their prime or just coming out or whatever. So I used to carry this like list in my head. I don't think I wrote it down, of like Madonna, Little Kim, Janet Jackson, Shirley Manson from Garbage, maybe Gwen Stefani was in there, like all the fashion icons, and Bjork. And I can tell you, I've dressed some of those people, and I've met them, and they know my story, and they know about me, and I've got to meet them as not a fan, as an artist.
That's
artist
crazy,
to artist,
man.
which
Come on.
that's the crazy part. But you feel like you belong there. Like, you're like, that I'm meeting this person because of my art, or I'm meeting this person because she just wore my shit. There's still a few on that list that I haven't dressed, and one of the main ones is Bjork.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Madonna has stuff of mine, Janet has stuff of mine, Missy has stuff of mine, Shirley Manson has worn me. So I think it's like, and Little Kim, it hasn't happened yet, but it'll happen in the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fresh, man. That's crazy. That's a major accomplishment.
Yeah. And you see, I mentioned like all these like old school, and they're all women.
Yeah.
Of course, I like Busta Rhymes, and I listen to hip hop, and I listen to everything.
Yeah.
But there's something about dressing the old school ones, like icons, like legends, versus just dressing like the newcomers that are out there now, you know? Because designers nowadays, like it's easier to get to an artist nowadays. Like if I want somebody to wear, I was gonna name, but if I want so and so to wear something, I just have to send it or send it to, you know, you can get people through their IG or somebody knows somebody. I know a lot of people in the industry. The way I ended up dressing some of these celebrities is because it just happened, and because, and I say this very proudly, I put it out into the universe when I was a kid. Yeah, so I will say like dreams come true, and things that I said, like Imagine. I used to play Imagine a lot.
Yeah.
I was the only child, so I had a imaginary friend.
Yeah.
También. So I talked to myself a lot. You can say una bobería and it will come true.
That's wild.
And it's not like you're following that or thinking about it. It's not until after it happens you're like, oh my God, I said this, or somebody reminded me, like, remember that day? Like somebody reminded me, I only auditioned for Project Runway season 2 a long 20 years ago. And it went far. I didn't make it onto the show, but I was happy I didn't make it onto the show. I didn't want it. All my friends were pushing me after everyone saw season 1. They're like, you have to be on the show. And I knew that I wasn't ready because of, I don't know, I didn't want to be on television at 23 or 24 I was at the time.
It would have changed your trajectory.
I didn't want to show, like, I was still working on my craft, and it was, again, before, it was just about the craft. Who cares who made it? Yeah, I'm dope and I'm cool, but nobody cared about that. Now is people want to know who made it, and it's the other way around. So I never auditioned again until, I got reached out by a few people for that to happen, but somewhere along the lines when we were watching Project Runway, I said, I'm gonna be on that show. And I don't remember ever saying that. But my friend called me and he was like, you remember that day we used to watch Project Runway together, and you're gonna be like, you said, I'm gonna be on that show one day. And it just totally clicked. So a lot of things have, I keep putting things out in the universe.
Yeah, you
happen
just put the
for
Adidas
now,
thing.
for the future, for whatever, but it things will come and it will happen, and you have to work hard for them, but you don't have to force them.
I hear you. I
don't force love. I don't force relationship. I don't force friendships. I don't force, there's connections that a friend of mine may know such and such celebrity. I'm not gonna be like, here's my clothes, here, try to give it to. No. If that's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. You don't have to force anything. Just keep doing you. People are gonna realize, acknowledge, appreciate, like all those. They're gonna tap in.
That's dope.
And then there's those people that don't even tell nobody that I'm dope and I have a collection or whatever. Like, there's people that just don't promote. So you gotta promote yourself. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, bro. So walk me through your actual process when you go to make a piece. How do you start? Do you draw it out first? Do you look for the fabric? Does the fabric catch your attention and you make it?
I think
how does it work for you?
Every piece is a little bit differently. If I'm looking or creating a collection, that's when I'm drawing, or some of these fashion shows that I participate in. It's either you could only show 12 looks or 10 looks. So you're really focused on, what are these 10 looks? What do I want them to look like? I want to show a little bit of everything. A pair of shorts, a skirt, a dress, pants. I want to make sure I tackle as much as I could, because you only have 12 outfits is 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I have the DJ make me the sound for I'm do it for 20 minutes. You never know what can happen. And at the end of the day, it's my show was 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
And you have a 20-minute track.
Yes.
Yeah.
But just in case, you never know.
Yeah.
So I'm really focused on that, I think. But I do 2 things. I throw fabric onto the floor and I cut and I sew and I create sometimes without even drawing it. Maybe it's drawn in my head. Because I draw old school too. I don't draw on an iPad with a fancy pen.
Yeah.
Give me a pencil or whatever, a chalk. I'll draw. So sometimes I draw, sometimes I throw fabric onto the floor, and sometimes I do upcycling. So I may take a whole bunch of blazers and start chopping up what I need from them and then start creating. I may have like a little, I may know what I'm going to do in the beginning, but then towards the end, you don't know. And then sometimes when I'm building a collection, and normally when those fashion shows happen, they're like, you have 10 days to put this show together. And you're like,
Wow.
so you start working on pieces in the beginning and you push them to the side. And as you keep creating, new ideas come out that you can kind of put into those beginning ideas to kind of make it a cohesive kind of collection. So things happen throughout. There's no way. I will say this, I do smoke a joint before I start anything. Even before I go fabric shopping, I'm out there like, let me just smoke because I want the fabric to talk to me.
I feel
you know?
You should get a collab with one of the smokehouses out here.
Right. Well, I already have the name Dope. So,
A dope brand, a dope.
I've met
flower.
some people too. I have to circle back. But
Yeah, man, that would be fresh.
they're like,
If
you want
had
your own papers? I'm like, fuck yeah. You know?
Oh yeah, that would be fresh.
Yeah.
Some Dopetavio papers.
But again, I'm not here slapping my name on everything.
Yeah, I
you
feel
know. If that's
but that's part of your lifestyle. That goes alongside with it. If it's,
I can see it, but I'm not putting my name on cups and like I need my own soda. No, it's always just gonna be about the fashion.
I feel you.
That's it. That's my love. That's my passion.
That's fresh, bro. That's fresh, man. I mean, it seems like you're on your way to you've accomplished a whole bunch of shit, right? That's really like super, like, I tip my hat to you. You know what I'm saying? That other people would basically be like, that's it, I'm at the mountaintop. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it feels like you haven't even started scratching the surface of the potential of the things that you could do, bro. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I love the fact that you set up here in South Florida in Miami. You know what I'm saying? Miami is funny how right now, I was talking to somebody the other day, it's starting to like switch up where everything used to like speak towards Miami, and now it's like Miami speaking towards New York, towards LA. Like a lot of people are coming here to like grab that culture and take it elsewhere. It's happened with the food scene, right? And it feels like the whole entire Latin culture thing is starting to like massively export from Miami. And I love the fact that you're doing it out here.
Yeah, there's things happening. We just have to like, when things happen in Miami, you have to keep it alive. How many clubs we've been to in South Beach that are not there anymore? Yeah. Like, it's such a transit city still.
Yeah.
And I think that every few years we're like, oh yeah, it's turning into New York. And then it just fades, and it's not.
Yeah.
And again, I don't compare the two cities. They're two different cities.
Yeah.
Miami just needs to work on what Miami is. But yes, people are moving down here. I think there's going to be more of a movement for fashion, for entertainment, besides just Latin. Yeah. Yeah, because that's major down here. Yeah. Things are happening here. The city's changing. I honestly, I wish South Beach would become alive again, because that's the only part that used to be the most exciting place to go to in Miami. And now it's the least exciting place.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot has changed in South Beach.
No clubs, no, how is the Cameo closed?
I mean,
like, how is that? Like, you walk past there and...
I mean, that's by design by the city, you know? The city's trying to transition from, like, a nightlife tourist spot to, like, they're trying to make it more neighborhood, like, lifestyle, right? Like, family-oriented situation, and they just don't want those clubs there. I remember when Cream was right next to like Aerospace or whatever, it was like 10 bars or clubs right next to each other, like right on Washington.
But it wasn't like, I don't know, it was chill. Yeah. Even like Collins, like the store on Collins, they're doing the sound check for Supernatural. There's a party tonight. Collins used to have like cool stores and like, I don't know, nice, just like, I'm not gonna say their name, but it's just like
cookie cutter
souvenir shops.
Yeah.
It's lost its life.
I mean, but other parts of the cities have grown though. other parts of the city have
Right.
grown
Like South Beach died, but again, there's
Wynwood
still that
and, like,
strip. You're not gonna put
Alapata.
houses on Ocean.
I mean, you never know.
Fix those places up. Like, give it some life. Like, yeah, my friends are like, hey, I'm coming on vacation. I'm going to South Beach. I'm like, nobody goes there anymore. Get a
Yeah.
room in Midtown or Wynwood.
Yeah.
But even Wynwood, is Wynwood even still cool?
I don't
Wynwood
know,
was
bro.
cool when it was raw.
Yeah.
And it was these artists kind of just painting up. Like, it was like
Yeah.
the good artists were there. Once it became too commercial. You go to Wynwood? I don't go to Wynwood. I don't go to Wynwood that much. Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything because I might get a Wynwood gig or something.
Right, but well, I had a pop-up shop there once for like a good 3 months. But like nobody, like, well, you know what? People go there.
Yeah, a
But
lot of
just
people.
not the people that live here.
Yes, exactly.
We're like, we're not
Exactly.
going to Wynwood. We're not going to South Beach.
Yeah.
But I'm happy, like, look, we're in Little River.
Yeah.
And this is growing.
Exactly.
There's a few new clubs. There's some thrift stores. I mean, even on 79th Street, there's a few things opening up.
Yeah.
I hope that we attract, like, more cooler shit to come
I
down
hear
here.
you.
Because we could do our own art walk. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Well, my dog, I appreciate you for coming on,
No,
sharing
thank
your
you.
journey, sharing your story, talking about like how you were able to get to where you're at right now. I see nothing but like super, super great things in your future,
Thank
bro.
you.
You know what I'm saying?
you.
I like the fact that you have that mindset where it's like it's gonna come to you and you're manifesting it. And I appreciate you sharing those gems with my audience and people who are trying to follow those footsteps, right? As not only a fashionista, but somebody who's like all around dope, right? You know what I'm saying? Like setting those vibes because everything else is coming off of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, I appreciate you, bro.
No, thank you for having me. I'm sure I'll be back one day to talk about even more.
For sure. As soon as
Yeah.
you get that Adidas collab, you better come on, bro. You better be like, yo, I said it and I did
Yes,
it.
yeah. No, it's gonna happen.
For sure.
You know?
For sure. That would be awesome, bro. That would be like, yo, we did that. We spoke
put it
about it.
out
We put
there.
it into the universe. And that
We
shit
put it
happened.
out there. If it happens, you'll be the first one to get your free
Adidas,
whatever
yeah.
it is.
That
Yeah.
would be dope, yo. That would be dope. Leave the people with your handles. Where can they follow
Okay.
your
My
stuff?
brand is Dopetavio. So Dope_Tavio, and then my personals, they call me Dope. That's where I kind of promote my stuff and the nightclubs and parties that I'm talking about and pushing. And then Dope Lab, which is the new shop, which is attached to Supernatural, which is also a queer club.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just heard the sound check in the
Yeah,
background.
sound check. There's
they having a party tonight.
There's a big party tonight. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
This place is dope too. It's opening, is welcoming as well.
Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of good things coming out of this building. We have space for like photography, for if somebody wants to do it. Like it's open
Yeah.
for things to happen in the daytime, not just at night.
That's what's
Yeah.
up. That's what's up. Well, thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
And like I always say, thank you so much to my audience. I appreciate you guys for listening. If you liked it, share it with your friends. And if you hate it, share it with your enemies. But just share this. We out this mug. Peace.
Oh my God, wait, your makeup's a little bit messed up.
Yo, I just want to thank Dopetavio for his time, for being honest, for being open, transparent, all that shit that we like, all that gems dropping, being real. That's what it's all about on the Que Bola podcast. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in. Ya tú sabes, hasta la próxima, que te crezca. I love y'all. Peace.